the bench, at the bench, 2023.
Yeah,
Is this the
post
first?
COVID.
Is this the first 2023 at the bench?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, I don't
so
know.
much has happened to you
Yeah,
and me, but so much has happened to you. I've been, Mister Mister Greg. That
I've been at it.
you've entered the country realm. You have you
I
were
have entered and left.
you
Well, no,
you were a country guitar player. You're a country guitar player.
I spent the first half of the year as a country guitar player.
Yes.
Yes.
I got to tell you, I'm happy that you have not retired. Because a year ago, you were like,
I was done.
I'm
I
not
was
ever playing again. All my good days of performing are behind me.
I yeah, well, I was just
Yeah.
like I had my little acoustic thing that I was doing, but in general, it just seemed like there just wasn't a point in continuing. And essentially, sorry about that. I had somebody just reach out to me. Um, it just seemed like I had already had my good days, and then a couple of cool things happened. The first thing was Sarah got a call from a country artist by the name of Jeremiah James.
Hmm.
And he was looking for another lead guitar player, and she was too busy playing with Gillian Smith. And she said, "Well, why don't you?" You know, she asked him, "Do you know Greg Platzer?" And he said, "No." And she said, "Well, he can play." And she connected us. And I spoke to Jeremiah and Slade, his drummer, at length, and it seemed like a good idea. So um, for my audition, they gave me an hour's worth of material, and I went up, and they had a guitar player named Scott, and what they did was they said, "We're going to start the night with you, and then after your hour, then Scott will do the next 2 hours." I was like, "All right, cool." So um, I thought it was an audition. Set up the gear and everything, sitting around, and people started walking in. It was at this great place in Schuylkill Haven called Main Street Moonshine. Absolutely fantastic place, excellent food.
Hmm.
And so I'm sitting there, and people are coming in. I'm like, "What is this?" He goes, "Oh, it's a gig. We play here every Thursday." And I was like, "Son of a bitch!" So my audition was in front of a reasonably full house of people that knew all the material,
Okay.
and I did not. And I played to the best of my abilities. And then at the end of the gig, he came up and he said, "All right, let's have you come back next week." And he gave me another hour's worth of material. So the next week, I knew what to expect. And so um, Scott, the other guitar player, set up his rig on the other side of the stage, and the two of us played together. Now, I've always been a two guitar kind of guy, so it
Yes.
was very easy for me to, you know, go back and forth with him, and it was very easy for him to go back and forth. And so at the end of the night, so we did the 2 hours, and then I expected them to release me from duty, and they kept me up. So the last hour, I played a bunch of stuff I don't know. And afterwards, I got the gig. He said, "It fits, and we're going to do it as a two guitar band." So um, they have this cool thing with Indian motorcycles where they play biker festivals
Okay.
and set up a stage. And like we were in Atlanta for a charity thing. We were in Panama City, Florida for a bike week,
Hmm.
and played several shows, and it was really really cool. But the other guitar player ended up leaving because his grandson at 9 is becoming a champion motocross racer, and so I became the guitar player,
Hmm.
and it seemed to work out better just to have one guitar. Um, but I started like realizing that I wasn't the guy,
Hmm.
and I like being part of a two guitar team. I don't like being the guy. And I was recommending that they find another guitar player so that at least we could split up shows or something. And what happened was ultimately I took a couple weeks off to play some festivals with Gillian Smith, which we'll talk about in a minute. And while I was gone, they actually found a genuine Telecaster playing country guy.
Okay.
And, so there was I didn't have a gig to go back to. They found this guy and they went with him, and good for them.
Hmm.
Um, he's definitely more suited to the job than I am.
Hmm.
Um, but the cool thing is I got my sea legs back, and
Yes, which is
uh,
wonderful.
yeah, and the Gillian thing. What happened was Gillian and Sarah have been playing as a duo for a couple years now, and Gillian is amazing, and she's just this really sweet 20-year-old girl, beautiful, nice, funny, and terrific singer. Well, they had been playing these country festivals, the Carolina Country Music Festival in Myrtle Beach and Barefoot in Wildwood, New Jersey. And this for this year, they put the festivals put Gillian on the main stage, an unsigned artist on the main stage. And so Sarah needed to build a band.
Yeah.
Well, I have a band. We were called Four Guys. Now we're called Rescue Dogs. And it's my old Citizen Kane drummer, Jeff Stalk. Boy, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And Greg Folsom from Go Go Gadget on bass, formerly Echo Burn when he lived down here, and Brian Seneca on vocals and guitar. Well, um, to expedite matters, Sarah grabbed Jeff and myself and Greg Folsom, and then her on guitar,
Hmm.
and Steve Wilmert, amazing keyboard player and one of the pastors from our church
Yeah.
on keyboards, and built this really, really good band. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody gets along with everybody else. And then our alternate bass player for gigs that Greg can't do is an amazing musician named Cabretti Bardol. He's in a band called Sink In, and he's based out of Enola. And he's a guitar player, but he volunteered to play bass, and he did a great job.
Hmm.
So, um, as you know, I've worked on a lot of huge stages for huge bands.
Hmm.
Um, we were in Myrtle Beach on the biggest stage I've ever seen, right on the beach,
All right.
and I'm the artist. Oh, I'm a backup guitar player for the artist, but technically I'm artist. Instead of being crew, I'm artist.
Yes.
And we were first, and they built forward, so we only had like 10 feet to the front edge of the stage. We started at 3 o'clock, and that night was Brooks and Dunn, and Brett was on after us, a couple bands after us, Brett Michaels, and so it was like old home week. Um, and I stood on that stage and I looked out at it was like 1/3 capacity, so it was about 10,000 people. And I thought, I look back at Jeff, and when Jeff and I were in Citizen Kane together in the late 80s, very beginning of the 90s, we used to talk about being on big stages, and we never made it.
Hmm.
And I actually got to stand on a huge stage holding a guitar, and I looked back at my favorite drummer, and I was like, thank you, Lord. It was amazing. But the coolest thing wasn't me. The coolest thing was our first song for our set. We did You Shook Me by AC/DC
Okay.
with a twang. And we Sarah started the song. Now we're all using in-ears, so I couldn't hear the front of house. It would have been great to experience front of house, but I've done that when I worked with Aerosmith. I stood with Brad Whitford's guitar at an empty Bristow, Virginia show and went and felt it go.
Yeah.
So I know what that sounds like. But Sarah started the song. I came in. Now we came down with a 20-year-old, real sweet girl, pretty sweet girl,
Hmm.
a genuine star, just swaggered right past me and right out the ego, the thrust. And everybody there saw the next big thing.
That's wonderful.
Oh my God, dude.
That's what
You
I
would
knew her. I knew her when.
to
I knew
see
her when.
the change. And
Yeah.
Sarah had told me, you will not believe the change because they had played side stages as a duo
Yeah.
last year.
That's wonderful.
And that half an hour went by in about 3.2 seconds.
Right.
I
Of
mean, all
course.
of a
That's
sudden we
the
were
way it always
walking,
is when you're enjoying yourself.
and then we just kind of hung out, and we saw Brett, and we saw uh just like Brett's drummer Mary is awesome. She's just tremendous. And my old buddy Dean Kramer from the band Solo and Funny
Uh,
Money, he's playing guitar with Brett now.
okay.
And Pete Evick, guitar player for Brett, great guy. And it was nice to see Brett. Um, so a year ago, I told you I'm just a guitar repairman. I used to be a performing
Yes.
artist.
And I told you what?
I don't remember. I don't listen to you.
Okay. I told you you're not done.
Well, you were right, my friend,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
there's
And
more
I'm
stuff
glad I'm
coming.
right. I'm glad I'm right because
Yeah.
you're not going to go out like that.
Well, the weird thing is, like, I did the Jeremiah thing, and we played all over and spent a bunch of time driving here and driving there, and and never had a crossword with anybody. I mean, we literally got along great.
Yeah.
Uh, our coach failed, so here I am driving a Suburban hauling a trailer all the way to Panama City, Florida.
Right.
Jeremiah and I split the driving duties, so we're never more than 30 inches from each other for several days in a row, and we had a great time.
Yeah.
Um, to be part of an organization where there's a lot of mutual respect and admiration, it was great
Yeah.
to experience that again.
Yeah.
And so, man, I had a great time. And Gillian, uh, she's we're gonna look back on this and we're gonna laugh when she's like the biggest thing.
Right.
And we're gonna, but I could not believe the transformation from sweet little Gillian
Yeah.
um to this star that just went right past me. She
Mhm.
came from behind and walked in between Sarah and I and walked right out the thrust. And everybody was losing their minds. And she knew what to do. She knew how to do it. And you can't teach somebody
Well,
how to
here's the
communicate
thing
with a
that
huge
I
crowd.
appreciate about Gillian. She did it honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
She learned it honestly.
Yeah.
She did
Yeah.
it honestly, and it's
She,
like it's been cool to watch.
yeah. She learned a lot
Process.
of, she had a lot of lessons early.
Yeah, but
She had,
it's like there's a lot of people that try to buy their way in, and it's like she's
yeah, but she has God-given talent, and I've worked with everybody huge, and I was just on the phone with my buddy Night Bob, and we were talking about Guns N' Roses, and I was telling him I saw Guns N' Roses October 18th, 1987 at Hammerjacks. They were nobody,
yeah.
and
I saw him the same tour.
yeah, and I
Also,
I remember watching them and thinking, wow, if this band got a good singer, they might actually be somebody. And they became the biggest band in the world. Um, Jillian is one of them. She is absolutely one of them. And Sarah would tell me this. Sarah's very honest, and she'd
mhm.
say, I'm with Jillian because Jillian, there's
There's
something
some
there,
traction there,
that X factor,
right?
that that thing that can't be taught. And Jillian had people in her life that were I don't even know if they had her best interests in mind, but they were not helping her, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And Jillian learned some very valuable lessons early on. And
Which is wonderful that it's early on.
yeah, because now sky's the limit for that girl. So, and another thing, since we're talking about things that have changed since our last conversation, I got hearing aids.
This is wonderful. So
I
let's update or like okay, so back a year ago, what happened to you?
I
Like,
was sitting on my couch,
mhm.
petting my puppy dog, watching TV, drinking a cup of coffee, and my left ear shut off. And my right ear has been compromised my whole life. Cymbals, motorcycles, um, guns, uh, and I have pretty bad tinnitus. My ears are always ringing, and the two ears ring different frequencies. So sometimes the dissonance can be really, really, really tough. But my left ear, it was like somebody just walked up and I went to some specialists, and nobody could figure it out. So I talked to a few people, and Brad Whitford of Aerosmith uses a company called Resound, and Lukather uses Resound. I think Lukather's using somebody else, but at the time, Lukather was using Resound.
Mhm.
And so I found a Resound dealer up on the Carlisle Pike, and they hooked me up. And I got these cool little things that are right behind my ear, and I don't care if you can see them. You
Yeah.
know, they're like, what color do you want? And they have all these flesh colors and this and that. I'm like, do you have neon pink? I don't really care.
Right.
I'm deaf. And so, it's not like I'm trying to hide the fact that I have hearing aids. But the interesting thing is the first test fitting that we did, um, it it was like going from black and white to color. I had forgotten what stuff sounds like
Mhm.
because I was so used to what I was dealing with.
Yeah.
And missing, I would hear five of 10 words in a conversation. I read lips because I literally couldn't make stuff out. And it is mind blowing. I got to the point where I couldn't tune acoustic guitars by ear. I had to use a tuner. Um, and now I'm rediscovering all my old acoustic guitars that I haven't even played because I wasn't enjoying them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
The interesting thing is just how loud some of my tools are. um, some of my old files, I don't have any laying out, but well, this is a bar for radiusing fretboards,
Uh-huh.
and you put stick tape on it, and I didn't realize how friggin' loud this thing is. Um, but it's
So there is no amount of, okay, so I got my own history with this. My mother got hearing aids and it scared the shit out of her. Is there any, can you see why that happened, or it was a,
absolutely. You know what?
or was it totally different? Was it a total,
Chewing. I
because
like,
I'm not far behind you.
yeah. Well, I've always had a hearing problem with my right ear my whole life.
Yeah.
Chewing is amazingly loud. When you turn your head and your neck cracks.
Yeah.
Um, when you go from being limited hearing wise to now being able to, I can on my phone via Bluetooth, I can control every facet of it. I can literally I can EQ it. I can stream music into my ears. When you call me, my ears answer the
Your
phone.
your 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 hearing aids have Bluetooth?
Yeah,
That's bizarre.
yeah.
Okay,
Within
now what is the expense of this?
they were not cheap. They were $4,500.
That's not bad. If it gives you hearing,
Well,
that is,
here's here's the cool thing about
to me, I would pay for
the
that.
state of Pennsylvania. Ron from Badley's, drummer from Badley's, he and I used to do a lot of work, a lot of recording sessions together. Him on drums, me on guitar,
All right.
and so they were at XL. Um, I don't know,
Yeah.
sometime sometime over the winter, and Ron and I were talking, and he said, "I got hearing aids," and I was like, "Oh, tell me about it," because I'm thinking, and he's like, "Ah," and he said, "There's this government agency, I can't remember the letters, but it's three letters. O occupational the OVR, Department of OVR, occupational uh, vocational
We'll put a link.
rehabilitation.
We'll put a link in the description
Yeah, I'll find it.
because
Uh,
this is important stuff.
well, this is very important because here's the thing: you go to this government agency, the state agency, and you prove to them that you need your ears to do your job, and the government takes on some of the expense.
Okay.
So I applied, and it's fairly obvious I need my ears to pay taxes. And they of the $4,500 that I shelled out, they're reimbursing me $3,300.
That's wonderful.
It's amazing. The government actually does work for you very rarely, but when it does, take advantage of it.
Yeah, I will take advantage of this because I am, as I said, I am not far behind you. I'm
Well, when
being,
we're done, I'll turn you on to my hearing person, and
yeah, I'm being made fun of. I'm being
well,
made fun of
you're
the things
you're made
that I
fun of for
hear,
so many reasons, Rod. I
but the
mean,
things that I hear are funny.
yeah.
That's not what you said. That's not what I heard, but well, what I heard was funnier. So I gotta
Oh,
say.
okay.
So,
Yeah,
but yes,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
does it do anything with your? It doesn't do anything with your tinnitus.
Well, actually, here's the funny thing. Running in the background, there is a little part of it um, that runs like a little low noise in the background. It's like mine is set on the surf,
Mm.
and it runs in the background. And what it does is your brain kind of gets used to that and discounts that, and therefore discounts the tinnitus. So when I have them in, the tinnitus is not quite so bothersome.
Mhm.
Um, The problem with that is at night I take them out, and then the tinnitus is fairly obvious.
Yeah.
The change going from having them in and hearing full spectrum and being in nice bright vibrant colors, and then I take them out, and um, then the world is muted and the tinnitus is a little bit louder. So I'm still going to be seeing specialists. We're going to see what we can do about the tinnitus, and once they figure out exactly what causes tinnitus and they can eliminate that, I think the world will be a better place because
Yeah.
it's don't quote me, but I think it's like 2/3 of people on the planet suffer from some form of tinnitus.
That's bizarre. How many
And
musicians do you think are struggling with hearing loss?
every damn one of them.
Okay.
Um, I had a friend when I was younger who played in a um, jazz band, and he played violin or not violin, trumpet. How
Okay.
did I get the violin from
It
trumpet?
happens. Stefan Grappelli.
But
Johnny Bonnie.
behind him, like there was a row of trumpets, and behind him was a row of trombones.
Yeah.
So he had trombones blasting him in the back of the head for every performance.
Yeah.
And we were in our early to mid 20s, and he had worse hearing than I had at the time. And I'm sure he's probably brick deaf by now.
Hmm.
Um, and I have a good friend that is a mechanic on motorcycles,
Hmm.
and of course, Harleys have the minimum muffler, if any, and he was constantly working on bikes, and his hearing was just absolutely atrocious. And we literally somebody laughed because when he and I were together, we yelled at each other, and um, now I talk quietly. I'm still an idiot, but I'm an idiot that can hear now, and I'm much
Right.
more aware of where I fit.
Yeah.
So psychologically, it's been a help as well, and I'm less frustrated, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that's been
That's wonderful. So your life is turning around in every way.
I think it's my life has been very interesting, and it's it's not turning around so much as
Well, to be able to
God
hear
has
it.
put wonderful things in my path.
Yeah.
Um,
That you have to overcome.
yeah, it's all through God. Everything that's good for me is from God, and everything that's bad for me is when I turn away from God. Um, and I've had some just absolutely wonderful things happen. I have wonderful people in my life, and so it's remarkable how different I am right now from a year ago. Um, and some of my friends, some of the people, like I have this friend named Phil, and Phil plays guitar,
Right.
and currently Phil plays guitar with this guy from New Jersey, and Phil has a guitar that is pretty interesting guitar,
Hmm.
and I'd hold it up and show it to you right now, but I can't because it's back in California. But um, Phil is he goes by Phil X.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has a guitar called the Ed G, which is a Gibson SG
I was
uh,
gonna say.
that was painted up in Van Halen stripes and everything.
Right.
Well, Phil has a wonderful guitar tech by the name of Sammy Bones. Sammy Bones, like myself, has been in the industry forever. And Sammy has he's got an interesting job because Phil is crazy. And one of the things Phil does is at the end of the show, he throws Ed from the middle of the stage into the wings where Guitar World is, where Sammy is. Well, he has thrown the guitar 26 times and Sammy has caught it 25. So the phone rang one day a while ago and it was Phil. And he's like, bro, Ed G broken. I was like, you're kidding me. And so he sent it to me. And if you go to my media,
Your Instagram.
go to my Instagram. Yeah, I need to put more stuff on my website, but that takes work, whereas Instagram is so easy.
Hmm.
But if you go to my Instagram, which is all one word, Greg Platzer Guitars, then you can see the restoration of Ed G. And I just did that. Um, I just had a guy. I don't know if I can use his name or not. Okay, an artist.
Everybody, and also we need to mention you all have to check out Phil X.
Oh, he's
No, he is like
There are very few
his
people that are
spirit,
that good.
well, not only that, his energy,
Nuts.
his spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rock
He's
and
a
roll is not
positive
dead in
person.
his hands. God, yeah,
Phil Phil's Greek. His
yes,
real name is Zenitis.
yeah.
And so he grew up playing all kinds of ethnic
Bouzouki.
instruments.
He
Yeah.
got to start with Bouzouki.
Oh my God.
He was a guitar player for Triumph. He
Yeah.
replaced Rick Emmett back in the day.
And made what I think is the best Triumph record, actually.
Okay. Uh,
So,
but his
uh,
best records were,
and then he
as
has
a
a band
kid, I
called The
was a Triumph
Drills.
fan. His
Yeah,
best records that I think were the drills.
absolutely.
Yeah. So as much as I like Triumph, no, Phil doing his authentic thing is far cooler.
He is like the bastard son of Pee Wee Herman and Sammy Hagar. He's crazy. He's fun. We've known each other for a long time. We've been friends for several years,
Mhm.
and um, he is the consummate musician. When he picks up his guitar, that's all. That's all it is. There's nothing else in the world. There was a documentary recently called Hired Gun,
Yep.
and that's streaming now, and he's in that.
Yeah.
Um, the interesting thing about Phil is he's he's an amazing musician. He's funny as hell, but he's so humble. This guy could walk around swinging his dick, and he's just such a down home guy, and um just really genuine and fun. And I'm absolutely blessed to have a guy like that
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
life. And he,
As a role model.
well, it's too late for that.
No,
I'm 59. I
you,
don't have any role models, man.
I do. I have.
I'm on the downswing, man.
Shut
But
up.
my favorite guitar players, Nuno Betancourt
Yeah.
from Stream,
Right.
Paul Gilbert,
Yep.
Brian May. You know what
Oh,
they're thinking when they're playing. They have that ability. Jeff Beck,
right.
um, and I put Phil right up there because
Right.
he's such a tremendous musician. Oh my God! And Rick Beato, and Rick Beato was like nobody outside of the industry, and now he's got the coolest YouTube channel,
Right.
and
I'm a
he
fan.
breaks down everything.
At the chagrin of my family, they could, that is what I watch.
Yeah,
That is what
yeah.
I watch every night.
And he and Phil have several
And then
encounters on there. And,
yeah, Phil doing the Stairway to reimagining the Stairway to Heaven
yep,
solo.
yep. And then also, while we're talking about it, Pete Thorne, hold on a sec, I'm getting a call, and I'm going to cancel that. Um, Pete Thorne, who played with Chris Cornell,
Right.
he and Phil did this guitar summit or something at a show a couple years ago. And if you just search on YouTube for Pete Thorne and
Yeah.
Phil X, um, it's so cool to see two guys who are so damn good, and they're totally geeking out about how they're both huge Eddie Van Halen fans, and they're showing each other how they play Van Halen songs. And to me, that is the essence of being a true musician. Like, I get together with these guys, um, and like I'll sit on the bus with Elwood from ZZ Top, and we geek out about the the guitar tones on this record or that record. Elwood was Joe Perry's guitar tech. I met him when he was Joe Perry's guitar tech of Aerosmith, and then he ended up Billy Gibbons' guitar tech. And then when Dusty unfortunately passed, Elwood got
He took the
promoted to
bass
bass.
chair.
But Elwood is still Elwood. Elwood
Yeah.
is still this skate punk from Texas, and just another one of these really honest people. And when you get together with these guys, and you geek out on what other guys are doing, that's fun. And to see Thorne and Zenitas going off on the Van Halen stuff, because we lost Eddie recently,
Right.
and the effect.
Well, okay, so I don't know that we discussed the Rise video and what
Oh,
the effect the Rise video did to the
for
guitar
Nuno.
community that really uplifted.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was like,
All of a sudden, it's cool to be able to play your guitar again.
yeah, no, Nuno, he's a
Amazing.
next level. He's a next level. His energy is good. He's a good dude.
He produces their stuff.
Yeah.
He's
I like
a
my
total
guitar
friend.
heroes to be somebody I would like.
Yeah. And he's a
Yeah,
decent fella. I met him when he was
yeah,
nobody, and he's a very decent human being.
yeah.
I literally, I went to Hammerjacks one night a million years ago.
I saw him there. I
Yeah.
saw him when he was a painter in 1987, when before they got their record deal, Boston,
Yeah. That's cool.
Boston Club Narcissus, where I saw Kicks there as well. I saw a bunch of bands there, but yeah, no, Extreme were wonderful. Then
Yeah.
it's like it was all there.
Yeah.
It was all there, and it's like he was what 17, 18 years old,
Something like that.
because
Something like that.
I was 15, 16. Yeah, so
And
I
then
think
he's out there. Have you heard any of the live shows that he's done with Rihanna? It's
no,
really kind of cool because Rihanna, there's no guitar in her stuff, but she's
right,
got amazing musicians. And they
right,
hired him and they said, add some rock and roll to it. And they
right,
let him do whatever he wants. And if you watch some of the live YouTubes of Rihanna, you'll go, oh my God.
yeah,
It's so cool the way he found a way to fit into that because he's really a good funk guitar player. He
yeah,
and I early on talked about Pat Travers, and that's how we became friends because we're both huge Pat Travers fans.
right,
And some of the Pat Travers stuff is some of the best funk you'll ever
right,
hear. And he just, again, Nuno, Phil, Paul Gilbert, these people don't play guitar. They are the guitar is part of them. And
yeah,
I am in awe of anybody that can really, like, if you're an excellent bricklayer, I will watch you do
yeah,
that for hours if you're really good at it.
yes,
Um, Sarah and I watch these cooking shows sometimes, and it's amazing to watch people, do that. And there's a show called Hometown on the Home Network with this couple, and they're basically one house at a time revitalizing this southern town.
hmm,
And she's a brilliant designer, and he's an amazing carpenter, and the two of them just do this crazy cool stuff.
right,
And I just sit there like,
right, right.
yeah,
Yeah, you appreciate lots of stuff. Anybody who does a good job at what they do and forward
right.
thinking and
And
creative and pushing
that's
the
the
envelope.
reason,
Yeah,
yeah, and that's the reason why I put my work up the way I do, where I'll break it down into several chapters or
mhm.
episodes, and I'll show, what I'm doing with these things. And
It is artistry.
I
This is why
well,
like
thank you,
honestly, it's I respect you
thank you.
because you're an
Well,
artist at what you do.
it's very kind, and I wish I
Yeah,
respected you, but that would
it's
have been a
okay.
great time.
It'll come or it won't.
You're all right, Rod. I don't care what it says about you at the post
Yes.
office.
So,
But it's been an interesting year. It's been a very interesting year, and I,
so one of the things we learned, it's like, okay, so a year ago, I think a redirection of uh,
energy.
our definition, don't settle for less than what you're capable of.
Yeah, and
You don't have to go on a stage that depletes you.
well, I'll tell you this.
You do not have to go on a stage that depletes you.
No,
If you're
no,
going to go out, you're going to go out with you're going to go hard or go home.
I had given up deep down inside. And then, I did a Christmas song. I'm part of Joy to the Berg.
Yep.
And I did a song for the record last year, and did it with Mike Giblin at his studio,
Mm-hmm.
and did a video, um, and the video got shared all over the place. And now that song's going to be in a movie that's being released for this Christmas season, featuring Lee Majors and Bruce Boxleitner
They
and my
still
son.
alive.
Yeah, it's the $6 Million Man is probably already tired of my song, and so, like, and it's a mellow song. It's If you
Mm-hmm.
go to YouTube, and it's called It's Christmas. So if you go to
Featuring
YouTube
Mike
and look
Giblin
for
and Logan Bedard and
Logan Bedard, yep,
right,
and Mike Giblin and myself, and Amy on vocals, and
Amy
we
Simpson.
yes, and it I literally wrote the song the night before the session. I had the session booked and I didn't have a song. And so I wrote it the night before. And in fact, when you watch the video, Michael Stipe from Versus Machine did the video. Um, and he actually at one point
Not to be
caught me
confused with
writing the third verse or
right,
the second verse or whatever, because I didn't have enough lyrics for the
right.
session. and it was just all thrown together, and it just worked so well. Thanks to Mike Giblin, it worked so well. Um, and that has opened up all kinds of doors for me. So I somebody once told me, as soon as you give up, that's when the good stuff can happen. And I think the word can needs to be screamed in that. Once you give up, good stuff can happen.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people
You got to be open.
don't take advantage of that, and I took advantage of that. And I wasn't suicidal or anything, but
Because
uh,
you were still going to kick ass as a repair guy.
yeah. And now I'm not getting any repair work done. um, I am, but I've stopped accepting work. I there's so much stuff here. That is maybe 5%. Down the hallway there's an alcove with probably 15 or so cases, and none of the jobs that I'm doing are quick, easy overnights. Oh yeah. Yeah, I got to work on that too, don't I?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you will get in. Um,
It's pretty, isn't it?
it is purdy. It's purdy. Doesn't have enough strings, but it's purdy.
For a bass,
So,
it does. I'm a grouchy old 4 string player.
well, you're grouchy. I'll give you that. I don't know about
It
old.
is,
How old are you
it is.
now?
29,
No, really. How many
55,
times?
55.
55. Okay, so I got you. I'm 59.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be 60 in January, man.
that's all right.
60.
You're not looking at this right.
Oh,
Look at
bless you.
it. This is 55.
Well, I have this, so I'm thinking about, doing the Rod Gell's thing there. What do you
Yeah.
think? What do you think? Do you think that'll
Yeah.
work? I
Yeah.
don't know. I it's so crazy. I was on that stage with Jeff, with Gillian, with Sarah, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, wow, I'm playing on this huge stage.
Mhm.
Um, it's kind of like I don't need to do it again. I've
Yeah.
done it now. I literally, and then the next week we got rained out. We were in Wildwood, New Jersey,
Mhm.
and it rained exactly the amount of time that the first two acts were supposed to play. There was a band from Nashville before us,
Mhm.
and then us. And literally, we're sitting there in the catering tent listening to it rain. And as soon as our spot was over, the rain went away. By the time we got everything loaded into the van and we were driving out, the sun was shining. And that was bitterly disappointing
Right.
because I think I would have enjoyed that show a lot more because the bloom was off the rose. But there are some more shows coming up,
Mhm.
and so
You will partake in those shows.
I think, well, as of right now I will.
Yeah, as
I got
long
to
as
live that long. God willing, I will get to feel that again. But if I don't, that's another huge experience that I can add to my life. And if I'm if I'm down here for the rest of my life and I'm not on stage, I'm not going to be upset
right.
because
You're living life by your own terms, no matter what you do.
I'm having a great life, man.
Yeah. It's like you never like I don't know if it's ever always been the case, but you've determined your own destiny.
Well, yeah, when I was married, I was not in control of my own destiny, and um, getting divorced was one of the worst things that ever happened to me, and absolutely one of the best things.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't recommend that anybody go through it, but if you do, um, my drummer in Grumpy, Ray Wright, he got divorced a couple years before me, and I just, we all helped him the best we could, and he got through it, and he had a tough time of it. And when I told him that I was getting divorced, he actually shed a tear, and he's like, dude, he's like, I feel sorry for what you're about to go through. He said, but you need to understand that there is a light on the other side, and when you make it to the other side, you will feel better. And I didn't understand that until I went through some of the blackest time of my life.
Hmm.
Um, but in that time,
That
I
was a
met some of the
chapter.
most amazing
That was a
people,
chapter.
most of which Sarah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and when I got through it, I think I'm a better person as a result of the experience. And
Yeah.
it's a shame that the life that I had planned on didn't work out. I mean, now I no longer own a retail business. I'm just doing repairs. I'm working on my schedule, and I'm going to be honest with you. If it's 3 o'clock and I don't have an appointment till 4, I might go ride a bike. you know, I might just fire a Harley up and go ripping around a little bit. And it's nice to have that kind of freedom.
Mhm.
So I'm not retired, but
You live by
I'm in
you're
the
living by your own
enviable.
schedule.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Giblin just lit me up right now. So, he's going out with Split Squad, and he's got a Rickenbacker 4001 that needs a little attention. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, I can honestly tell you that At the Bench is coming to you from a much stronger place today than it had in the past, and I didn't realize um what a battle I was fighting until I got away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And man, you're hearing to be
Yeah.
able to hear. I mean, right now I'm very aware that the air conditioning rig is loud as hell in here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there it is, right behind the saw. You see that?
Yep.
That's noise. And um, but the fact that the government was there to help me out,
Yeah.
because I don't really have.
I'm gonna look at that because
Yeah,
so
Department of OVR.
I'm in the same. What is that again?
Department of OVR.
OVR. Because
Yeah,
I'll
what
put
I'll do
that
is
in the
I'll get
description.
you info, and you can put it in the description so
Yeah.
people can follow
Because
that.
that is really, yeah.
And whatever state you're in, check and see if your state has something like that, occupational vocational rehabilitation or some crap like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I could hear again that I realized how much I couldn't hear. And when my kids were little, I couldn't hear them. It was kind of crazy. And
Well, that's because you had one ear that wasn't working.
yeah, yeah. When the other ear went, it was time. It was time. Now the tough part is I have to remember to take them out before I get on the bike, because
that
riding along on the bike with the hearing aids in,
that would be insanity.
yeah, it's like getting towed by a jet engine.
Right.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But all in all, man,
Yep.
life is good, brother.
So here's what we want to do in the future. I'm going to manifest stuff. What would be cool is do in-person stuff.
Absolutely.
This is my new studio.
And it looks good. I like the
This
lights.
is my new studio. For me, I'm getting married.
Congratulations.
Love of my life. She organizes me also.
She's wonderful.
She centered me, organizes me. I'm not so anyway. I'd love to say this is all my doing, all my organizing, but we all know better.
Well, clearly, she
But
had a lot to do with that.
Having the opportunity to do face-to-face stuff, like in the same room stuff, with you and with others, whatever it is, we'll talk.
You'll have to come up here for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's gonna be hard for me to take that much time.
Yeah. So, but that's what this is all about here.
I think it's great. I'm looking forward to what you do.
Yeah. So, going to be virtual stuff, virtual lessons, virtual stuff. Yep. So, anyway.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do with that. Honestly, I like this studio better than the other one. But where are the chairs, man? Where are the cool chairs?
They're in the drum room right across the hall.
Okay. They're not gone because those chairs are cool, man.
No. This is my domain. Not everybody gets the shiny chairs or the neon colored yellow and orange. We understand.
Mid-century stuff is cool.
Right. Agreed. We like it, but not everyone does. So whatever. Squares. But anyway, so at the bench, look at that Clapton back.
What number is this? What number is this?
This is number 16. See
amazing.
See the T-shirt there? I'll send you one. I got to make them reprint them.
Oh, what? Oh, that. Oh, okay, yeah.
That's a We Love Guitar Nerds T-shirt.
I need. Yeah, yes. I'll hook you up with one of these.
Yeah. So anyway, at the bench. So country guitar, survived and conquered.
Well, I mean, Gilly's a country artist, so I'm still playing country guitar, but I'm not a full-time country guitar player. Right. But I got to tell you, and you know what? This needs to be said.
Right.
rock and roll guys shit on country artists all the time.
Well, they shit on everybody.
Let
They
me
shit
well, let
on.
me tell you something. All you guys my age that are bitter and pissed off and think country sucks, that stuff's hard to play.
Well, it's the best guitar in the last 30 years was not Van Halen. Like after Van Halen did their stuff, when everybody stopped dropping off guitar solos in their songs, country never deserted the guitar solo.
Absolutely. Pop music has gone away from guitar, but I mean, country music is built on guitar.
Yeah.
And some of these artists, I mean, we saw more rock and roll guitar players on these huge stages at these festivals.
Right.
Um, and there's still a joy for playing guitar, and everybody digs guitar. And it's not so much about solos, it's about what the guitar can do and the sense of freedom
Well,
playing.
imagination, and all that stuff. But it
Right.
doesn't. It doesn't
But
sound like something that can be replaced with with an app.
well, I mean, Sarah being a country
Program.
guitar player and being a kick-ass country guitar player, um, I used to make fun of country guitar players, even though I knew that there were some very talented ones.
Or
I
probably
got to tell
probably
you, uh, honestly, it needs to be said. Every country guitar player could play rock music, but not a lot of rock guitar players could do country music.
yeah.
There is an understanding of the instrument. There is a way of approaching that is so far superior to the viewpoint of most rock and roll guitar players. And you know what? If people hate me for saying that, well, just get over your damn self. But I lived it, and I can tell you, I immersed myself in it, and I had to learn all these songs and everything like that. And then, played all these shows with other country bands. And I can honestly tell you that any rock and roll guy that poo-poos country is an asshole, because
Not
it's all
informed.
about playing an instrument. If you think about it, we as musicians, we have one of the coolest jobs ever, because not only do we get to play, which is something we enjoy, but if we're fortunate enough to get on stage, our playing brings joy to other people.
Mhm.
And I was flipping picks down to people. They're like, give me a pick, and I'll flip a pick down to them. In fact, my profile picture on Facebook, Kyle, the photographer, got one in midair. So, like, if you're looking at the image, look right up here, it's a green dot. And um, I nailed him with it. But the thing is, those people that were down right in front of me, we could connect, and I'd look down and they were like, yeah, this is great. Anytime we play, we have the opportunity of improving another person's life, or multiple persons. And it's not about how good a guitar soloist you are. It's not about how
Playing the right parts.
fast you can play. It's
Yeah.
about how much of an effect you can have on another human being's life.
Right.
And you get a guy like Phil, who's a brilliant guitar player, but you know what's really cool? He finds a way of using his talent to make us go, whoa. It's that blast of, holy shit, what just happened to me? That's the fun part.
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, look at the triplets that I just played, or I don't know, pentatonics. I don't know that stuff. I just know how to play guitar. Modes, Alamo mode.
Right.
Ice cream Alamo mode. So out there, everybody that's watching,
Yeah.
play for everybody else.
Yes.
Don't just play for yourself. I kind of got to the point, and I can admit it now, where I thought I wasn't going to get the opportunity to play for other people. And the fact that I got multiple opportunities,
Right.
it's no mistake. God saw where I was, and he lifted me up. And I got the opportunity to play to all kinds of people who I don't know, who I will never see again.
Mhm.
But for that brief amount of time, we both got a lot out of it. And that's
Yes.
what it's all about right there.
Yeah.
So practice, but
Yes.
understand that what you're doing, you're uplifting people. You're making other people's lives better. Don't lose sight of that.
Right. Right. And
Hmm?
and be good to each other.
Be good to each other. Yeah.
Yes. And
Wow.
be good to each other.
Wow, you were lobbing that one up on it. I just couldn't see it, man. and Greg, and
Be good to each other. So we should do this more often.
no,
Yes, we should.
no.
More than twice a year.
We should do it exactly the number of times that we do it.
All right.
Because if we decide to do it more, we might not have as interesting content.
Yeah.
So let's do it as often as it needs to be done.
When it percolates.
I enjoy these greatly, and if we were doing them every week, I might start looking at them as a job.
Yeah. No,
Literally, with Jeremiah, he doesn't take breaks. He does a 3-hour set, and we got a click track, we got in-ears, and Slade, the drummer, is also a musical director. So he's telling us the next song and what key it's in and everything like that. And there were times where that felt like a job. And then there were other times where it was just like, wow, this is so great to do it. But when it starts feeling like a job, you got to change something about it. And I was constantly bringing different guitars and whatever, and doing what I could to keep it interesting for myself and for my bandmates. We've all been in bands where like one member of the band just didn't want to do it or was going through something or whatever, and man, it just brings everybody down. Don't be that guy.
Energy, yes.
Yeah, they say there's an asshole in every room, and if you don't see him, get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And there's an asshole in every band. Don't be the asshole in the band.
Right.
Don't do it.
Right.
All right, enough of this bullshit.
All right.
You got work to do.
See you next time. See you next time. We Love Guitar Nerds at the Bench, episode 16. We will come back to you. We will come back to you when it is right to do so.
And
when we got stories.
We'll have stories.
Thank you, Uncle Greg.
Thank you, Rod.
Till next time.